What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, and the QQQ. I'm going to break down some important technical developments, what the news is saying about NIO, what you should be watching for moving forward, as we have a potential bullish divergence developing on NIO that could lead this thing to trying to bounce for next week. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. This offer ends in just 11 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with NIO in the market. So NIO is currently down about 1.43% for the day, selling off with the market. But the question is, how will NIO move? In my video from yesterday, I told you all that NIO could see more downside. The market had some potential downside, and that is what happened for today. Now, looking at the market, however, I believe that the downside is very limited. I don't think that we're going to be crashing way more from here. The market could drop a little bit more, but I believe that the much bigger move is going to be some upside very soon, especially as we approach November. And I still believe the market's going to bounce very nicely, and this could have a big effect on NIO. But another big factor for NIO coming out in about 12 days from now is going to be NIO's deliveries. We're going to find out how those end up looking, not to mention NIO's earnings over the next month, and how this could affect the share prices as time goes on. So now I just want to talk about some other factors involving NIO. NIO's volume is about 31.5 million, which is very close to what the average has been. On top of this, Deutsche Bank gave NIO a buy rating. Nothing's really changing there. The price price ratio is dropping a bit as NIO has some relative weakness. And besides that, when it comes to seasonality, it's only green about 49% of the time on Mondays. Now, as far as the data goes affecting NIO, financial metrics are showing some declines in their revenue per share. We're starting to see some declines here and there for the EV sector. And the current situation in China, the current macroeconomics out there are affecting the whole economy, the global economy, and this could be affecting NIO to some extent. However, the good news about NIO is that their deliveries have been quite decent. Even though their margins are not the best, their deliveries are continuing to improve. And so long as they maintain a lot of the targets being met, there's a good chance that NIO could continue to grow immensely. Now, NIO also put on X or Twitter that from October 20th, NIO's second advanced manufacturing center, a design driven green industrial travel destination, is going to open for visitors. And this is going to be very important for different tours and things like that because more and more individuals are going to be potentially learning about NIO, their technologies, and also their overall manufacturing capabilities. Now, there is some negative news that came out, and that's the fact that the NIO name disappears from the Formula E for 2024. NIO is going to disappear for Formula E. You guys can see like it was right here. Uh, and the team is going to adopt the ERT Formula E team banner for 2024 after confirming new investors. The NIO 333 has much improved campaigns in the first season of the Gen 3 rule set and finished 9th out of 11 teams. But remember, NIO is not primarily focused on their race cars or anything like that. They're Formula E cars. They're not so focused on that. They're more focused on their SUVs and sedans. But it still is very impressive that NIO has pulled off things like this. Now, the team was bought in 2019 by the Gusto Engineering Concerns and other companies, and they brought the NIO 333 squad for the 2019 to 20 season. And as a result, it's not going to be continuing. Even though it was great while it lasted, this is not like that big of a piece of news for NIO. It is just a natural progress for them to just focus on commercialization and to continue to improve the global adoption of other EVs. And this once again is just what NIO has been talking about. So once again, guys, even though this is going on, it's not the end of the world for NIO. I'm not necessarily too sad about this because this didn't really make up a big part of their sales or anything like this. I would love to see NIO just focus on getting the retail sales and etc. to just continue to improve and to bring in more revenue. Now, as far as NIO goes, from a technical standpoint, it is currently down 1.43%. And despite being down, I would say that it's getting very close to some critical support. On the 4-hour time frame, we were talking about downside. I've been talking about downside for quite a while, guys, for NIO. And yes, it's been downtrending. Now, there are a lot of people that are upset about how much NIO is down. Well, with this head and shoulders, it does look like there could be a bit more downside towards the $7 area, but that's where we have some critical supports, and I believe NIO is going to bounce very close to there. Our low for today was around 7.58. So that tells me that NIO basically is going to be bouncing soon. I believe that between 7 and 7.5, it's going to establish its bottom. We're very close to the bottom, and it should be bouncing soon. On top of this, on the 4-hour time frame, we have a nice bullish divergence developing, which could lead to a very, very nice bounce, I would say, as we get very close to November or so. On top of that, looking at the 30 minutes time frame, NIO is also looking a little bit better because although it's been very flat for quite some time, there's a bullish divergence on the 30 minutes, on the hourly, on the 4-hour, and all these different time frames. When you look at the daily charts, we're going to look at the daily real quick on NIO. Basically, the daily right here is not looking like too horrendous for them. On the daily, we have a potential attempted bullish divergence. There's one on the MACD. So we're getting bullish divergences and bullish signals in the chart. I believe NIO is going to pump and fill this gap in November up to $10+. Could it sink towards 7? Yes, it can. But there's going to be a bounce coming very, very soon as we have some bullish technicals. Now, same thing on SPY. We have a nice potential bullish divergence developing. However, if it does sink a little bit lower towards like 420, maybe a little bit lower towards like 417 to 418, it could establish a bullish divergence to get a very nice bounce from there. And I believe that that's going to be one of the most likely possibilities. So we could see like 418 or so on SPY, then a really, really nice bounce after that. And, it could just continue going. But I believe that it's very likely that if this drops a little bit more, towards 418. It's going to likely just bounce right there. It could also just bounce off 420, so the bottom could be in. And either way, I do see some upside very soon. There's a possible bullish divergence on SPY. I believe that if it does drop a little bit more, downside is going to be very limited, and we're going to be ready for a very monstrous bounce, which should be coming very, very soon. On Tesla, same thing. I mean, Tesla is a little weaker after their earnings. It has broken this low right here that was established, but there's a slight bullish divergence in the MACD, but nothing is like super, super like fixated just yet. I would say that Tesla is in a bottoming process. It could drop a little bit more towards 107 to 109. Not sorry, at 207 to 209, not 107, but at 207 we could see some buyers step in. And I believe Tesla is going to bounce soon over the next 2 weeks. Now, Tesla could be a little bit weaker than the market because of their earnings reports, but it's not the end of the world. As far as Apple goes, we're getting very close to our strong support at the 200 EMA at 171.6. I could see it drop a little bit more and then get that bounce and start pushing back up towards 175. So a drop and a pop seems very likely. We still look a little bearish on the daily, but there could be a very small amount of downside left to get very close to 170 to 171 before a bounce comes. The QQQ going to be looking for two supports. We have 353.28 and then 351 flat. Somewhere in this range, I believe the QQQ is going to find a bottom, then bounce very nicely, and we're going to see some upside very soon. I believe in this, notion. I think that the QQQ is due for a bounce, and it's going to drop a little bit more, but then the bounce should be coming. Same thing on Nvda. Nvda should be finding its bottom very, very soon. We're getting very close to key support around this 409 area. It could hit 409, maybe go a little lower, either 409 or 403 is a stretch. It is a possibility, but it's unlikely. I would say around the 409 zone, we could see this thing try to bottom, and then we could see a very nice bounce from there. So, anyways, that's what I'm seeing in the charts so far. A little bit more downside before a potential bounce, and I believe it's very probable we're going to see something like this. So for NIO could drop a little bit more, guys, just a little bit more. It's going to bottom around 7, maybe a little higher, and either way, it could drop just a little bit more, and we're going to see a really nice bounce very soon in November. I think the odds greatly favor that, as long as their deliveries are decent, which I believe they will be, and as long as things continue this way. All right, guys. So from a technical standpoint, we're getting a bullish divergence that's developing. And I believe it's going to help NIO bounce very, very nicely, very, very soon. All right. So thank you for listening. NIO to the moon, because the long term is still incredibly bright despite these short term fluctuations. And peace out.